The Hometown Sports Huddle here on WDBJ7 Plus. Dave Walls, Mitch Carr on the other side. Mitch, nothing like a nice little quiet Saturday, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Listen, I was on day 11 of 11 days in a row.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was there to get a few interviews.
Yeah.
I'm doing a story on name, image, and likeness payments and revenue sharing, basically how college athletes make money. I was there at the spring game to talk to some fans, get a tailgate. I thought maybe someone would offer me a burger.
Oh, the dream.
And you know what happened?
I know what happened.
A guy hit the scoreboard. Splat.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, not too much of a splat.
Yeah, well, he survived. He's okay. But let me tell you, the C and the H in the Virginia Tech that are up on the top of the scoreboard, they went splat.
There's a few pixels out on that board. So let's reset. So obviously, Mitch is there working on a futurist story, and I'm there to cover the Virginia Tech spring game. We're helping each other out a little bit. And so, Mitch, you go to the press box. I go down to the field, and literally as we walk in is right when the guy, the skydiver, hits the scoreboard. I'm trying hard to put it into words, just because when we were walking in, you know, between you and me, we've covered tons of college football games.
Yeah.
And I just go, the game should have started. We're walking in.
I should be hearing things.
I should be hearing the cannons. I should be seeing fire. It is silent.
Well, we were outside. We were across the street from the Beamer statue.
Yeah.
So that is one of the corners.
Right.
I couldn't forget. It's the opposite of where that giant scoreboard is.
Yes.
And so I'm walking up the street to go into the press area, and you're going in through the tunnel.
Right.
And big fire engine comes by, full tilt. I'm going, where's the issue? I see it turn into the stadium, and I'm like, oh no, somebody had a medical issue in the stands. And you have to go up to the 5th floor to get to the press box. So I go to the elevator lobby, and the woman that's doing security is like, come on in. This guy hit the scoreboard.
Sorry, I love it.
What?
So matter of fact.
So matter of fact, I said, that'd be funny. And she's like, no, really. The guy that was skydiving is stuck on the scoreboard. I said, that can't possibly be true. So I go up the five stories, get on the elevator. I run out to the press box, and there's a guy in a parachute hung up on the scoreboard.
And it's amazing. So another member of our team, Connor Arthur, who has been our intern in the sports department, will be joining the team here soon. He actually got some of that video. He actually got the impact. And I was the other thing I was talking about with Justin Pavic, our chief meteorologist, is the wind. It was a very calm weather day. And then for like maybe 2-3 minutes, we had really big wind gusts. And then after he got blown into the scoreboard, went away. And I don't think we had wind again until the game was over. I mean, it was a very bizarre scene.
Yeah, and that was the thing I was thinking was I remember specifically asking our meteorologist on Friday before we went home. I said, okay, so there's going to be some wind that comes along with this front that comes through.
Yeah.
And Ava, our meteorologist that works in the evening, she said, yeah, like overnight. You know, like Saturday night, we've got a front coming in. Sunday, it's going to be cold. That's when we'll get some rain and some wind. And I had no expectation that on Saturday we were going to get anything.
Yeah.
And then and we really didn't, except for, you know, I guess we don't know all the things that are going on at 20,000 feet. But man, I could not. I missed the moment of impact. Connor did not. He got it. But just walking in to the press box, and it's like a 30-yard press box.
It's a very large press box.
It's big.
Yeah.
And all 30 people that were in that press box, because it wasn't your typical turnout, were just smashed into the corner that was closest to the scoreboard with their phones out, like me.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, what's happening? And, you know, one thing you can't see when you're in that angle, because we're on the opposite side of the field, there's space in between that scoreboard and the stands.
Right.
So I was looking at it and going like, well, if he falls, he'll just fall into the stands, and he might hurt himself, but he'll be okay.
Yeah.
There is a 50-foot gap, and if he fell, he would fall in 100, 150 feet.
Yeah.
I probably would have been fatal.
Oh, yeah.
And so the fact that parachute got caught, and it's still up there today. We had a reporter covering it and did a live shot. The fact that it got caught really saved that guy's life.
Yeah, and the other crazy thing about it is you mentioned the gap. You know, the fence was right there as well. So he either falls and goes to the ground below the stadium, and that could have been a very, very bad impact, or he would have gotten caught on the fence, and at the height he dropped, I mean, we're talking bigger injury there. And so, but fortunately, Blacksburg Ladder 12 was out there. I think they initially tried to put a ladder up, and then they were finally able to, you know, get the whole crane operation out there, and were able to make it work from there. But certainly that was, I've never heard Lane Stadium that quiet. And granted, it wasn't a sellout; it was a spring game, but still, the stadium had a lot of people in it, and they were all very quiet. And for a good 30, 35 minutes or so until they were able to at least get him into the bucket.
Yeah, well, when they saw the fire truck, when they saw the bucket rise above the stands, you could hear the cheers.
Yeah.
And then they're slowly getting up to this guy. And they finally get up there, and there's more cheers. And then he gets in the bucket, and there's more cheers. And I'm sure James Franklin wanted those cheers to be for what was going on the field.
Yep.
But for the time being, it was for the rescue of this skydiver, this parachuter, who has a ridiculous amount of military experience. He's got like multiple Purple Hearts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He has done a lot of special things. Just had a bad day on this one, and maybe just had some bad weather. Maybe it wasn't his fault. I don't really know. I'm sure there's a lot more to the story that I just am not aware of.
Yeah, I can't wait till we can follow back up with him today. Didn't have time today, but I'm sure we're going to look forward to it. But like you said, James Franklin wanted the cheering to be about this football team. They got plenty of cheers later, because they did eventually pick it up after about an hour. Initial thoughts on the actual team itself, because I think we got lots of good flashes where, we saw Ethan Grunkmeyer throw a touchdown pass, looked very comfortable with some scrambling. The second-string quarterback, Bryce Baker, used the legs a little bit more, but even the run game had a lot of success. I think everybody had their moment to shine on Saturday.
Well, it's a double-edged sword because you're on both sides, right?
Right.
You don't know if you're watching good offense or if you're watching bad defense. What I did notice for Grunkmeyer is it seemed like, is it Grunkmeyer or Grunkemeyer? I feel like the press box announcer couldn't decide how to pronounce his name either.
I mean, it's spring game for all of us, let's be honest. I'm going with Grunkmeyer until somebody tells me differently. Maybe somebody who's watching from Penn State right now. It just looks like the E's going to be silent, but I'm sure I'm going to get corrected.
Grunkmeyer reminds me of Druckenmiller.
Ooh, good pull. Yeah.
From way back in the day. But anyway, Grunkmeyer, it seemed like, was mainly keeping it close to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
And so, I wonder if that's a strategy that's going to if that was a feature or a bug. Is that the James Franklin offense, or are we going to see some things go down the field?
Well, I think it's in a spring game, especially when coaches are watching, in an era where, players can still get plucked maybe for a late transfer or whatever else. You show like a sliver of the playbook today. You don't break out all the plays. So I think he's, looking for more of a command. He did let loose. He had a touchdown pass to Quayshawn Brown in that first quarter. That opening drive,
and Brown was wide open.
Well,
I saw that live in person. And I've seen the highlights, and I'm going, that was a coverage bust. Like, I'm glad he found him. But Grunkmeyer was looking the other way at first, and then look, this guy's, no one's covering him.
Well, it was a coverage bust. I agree with you, but at the same time, he did a tremendous ball fake to the left-hand side. Just gave everybody a good look. Slight turn of the body, defense bid on it, and so it's not only a good move by the offense, but it's a teachable moment. Because you'd rather catch those moments, I think, in April rather than anywhere else. I think the other thing that impressed me, and you can jump in here, I mean, the run game with Jeffrey Overton with 32 yards out of the backfield. Bryce Baker, the other quarterback, had to think of around the same rushing later on when he came in on offense. But overall, there was some good blocking at the line. Really, the defense wasn't able to get a ton of pressure on the quarterbacks. Got a sack here or there, but overall, the O-line really looked strong.
Well, and that's the thing is you don't know if you're watching good offense or bad defense.
Right.
And the fact that they couldn't get any pressure on him, but you also don't know what they're calling. Are they not calling their normal stunts because it's the spring game for them too, and they're trying to keep everything in a pretty base shell there? I don't know, but I know you want to see something more explosive. When you get James Franklin in here and he's an offensive guy, you want to see some explosiveness. I didn't see explosiveness, and I'm hoping that will change, come their first game in August.
Yeah, I agree with you. One last question, and then we'll take a break here, is between the first and second periods, Franklin actually grabbed a microphone, thanked the fans, and then he made this proclamation, said, this is a team, we want to shock the world. Now, you and I know sports well enough that that's a phrase that coaches and players have been using forever, and for those of us who are jaded, we hear that and we go, okay, we roll our eyes a little bit. But truly, I know he's trying to get the energy going in the fan base again, and he's doing well so far. Is this, based on what you've seen, and I know it's early, but do you see any glimmer of, man, this is a team that can surprise anybody, that you're going to have that improvement, just in what little we've seen so far?
No, I saw what I saw last year. And,
okay.
and I know that's disappointing to hear, but it's also really early. And these are different guys that are coming from different places. Quayshawn Brown or Qshawn Brown, I'm not sure how to say that.
Right.
He's a transfer from Duke. Grunkmeyer came from Penn State. You've got a freshman in Troy Hun or Hoon. I don't even know how to pronounce his name yet. So there's a lot of getting to know you going
Right.
on here. And I'm not totally sure what to expect. I did not get a real good feel of what to expect from this spring game, as it probably should be.
Right.
And I'm sure, I saw, oh my gosh, the Miami wide receiver, our special number 10. I can't believe I've forgotten his
Once
name.
they leave the Hurricanes, Mitch goes, "Poof, they're out of my mind."
No. He's still there. That's the thing.
okay.
He was a freshman
Okay.
last
All
year,
right.
took the world by storm. He made an incredible catch. One-handed, got his foot down in the back of the
yes.
end zone.
Yes.
And I'm going, okay, so that's still there. That's good. There isn't that from Virginia Tech. There isn't I want to see what I saw last year, and I don't, and hopefully it's still intact.
Right.
That's what you were with Miami. And then with Tech, you're like, I don't want to see anything that I saw last year. Like, I don't want to see whatever we saw last year on offense. I don't want to see that again. And I kind of saw it because I saw Miami play in that stadium against Tech. I saw them run the ball well for about 2 drives, and then just that was it. They couldn't do anything after that. And what I saw on Saturday didn't necessarily make me feel like, well, things have changed.
Right. Well, okay, and I will not invalidate anything you said because I did see the same as you. A lot of what we saw last
But
year.
you stayed longer than me. I was there to cover a news story, and you were
Right.
there the whole time. So I thought maybe you had seen something
Well-
a little bit more promising, and maybe I'm being harsh.
Well, here's what I'll say. Grunkmeyer had that great opening drive. He did have a pick later, a little bit of an overthrow, but I'll say he seemed very much in control. The offense looked good. You're right; they didn't have the flashes, but I don't think you break those flashes out again in mid-April. I didn't see. Don't really recall any fumbles or any major turnovers.
I remember one interception.
Yeah, I remember. There was one, and then there was another one very late with another backup quarterback. It wasn't even Baker. Somebody else threw a pick, and
Probably Hun.
It might have been, but again, it was so late in the practice, I almost didn't even count it. Overall, I didn't necessarily need flashy. I just didn't want to see error prone and sloppy. And the fact that I didn't get that
That's
in
true.
April. Okay, and
Maybe on schedule for spring.
maybe
football,
we're right where we need to be. I don't want this team peaking too soon. No.
Don't peak in April.
Oh, geez. Yes.
Malachi Tony, by the way, that's his name. Malachi Tony
you go.
made a special catch in the end zone, and that was about all I needed to see from Mike Haynes was to say, okay, he's still there. We got what we need.
Right. All right.
Darian Mensah, no idea. We'll see.
So again, I think this team is right where it should be at this time of the year. I think they've got plenty to build on, but again, it wasn't sloppy. There weren't any.
Well, what did James Franklin have to say?
He likes where this team is at, quite frankly, and the fact that they're able to get in and get out with very little injuries. That was the other big thing from the injury report. He said, "Yeah, we had 1 or 2 players go down, but it was just pulls and cramps, and nothing torn or broken. And you've been around football long enough. That's the kind of thing where you go, oh, please."
If I'm not mistaken, I think spring football is the most dangerous, as far as injuries go.
Oh, yeah.
The most dangerous sport in all of college sports.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's more dangerous than like college rugby.
Yeah.
You're gonna have more injuries in spring football than you are in some of the crazy, more violent sports out there, like
You're not
rugby. Oh my
you're
God.
not used to going game speed yet. You're used to doing whatever you do in practice, and when all of a sudden you get out in the stadium and there's 40, 50,000 people, you want to turn it up. Well, it's like me trying to get off the bench and play pickup basketball. I'm ready to run, and then 2 minutes in, I go, oh, that wasn't a good idea. I'm feeling it in the back legs there a little.
So the next time we get to see this team is late July,
Well, I mean,
August.
Yeah. I mean, there's still plenty of actual training camp to come, and
Sure.
we'll see plenty of that over the summer. But again, he likes where they're at right now. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because again, I didn't see at least the sloppiness and a lot of the mistakes that we saw.
What if he came out after the game and was like, "We were awful. I don't know what I'm going to do with this team."
I would say that's not a good marketing idea.
No,
when
no,
you're trying
that's
to sell
not.
tickets.
No, and also he did address the parachuter.
He
So
did.
He was glad that the authority, the powers that be, were able to get to him and save him. So
Yeah,
that's good.
I mean,
Good work by the first responders from Blacksburg 12.
and also standing in the tunnel for 30, 40 minutes until while that's going on. I think they had to go back to the locker room. So,
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit about what's coming up later this week, what we talked about today. Roanoke Railyard Dogs. We got some baseball to watch, including here on ZBJ 24. So we'll do that. We'll come right back on the Hometown Sports Huddle. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the Hometown Sports Huddle. I'm Dave Walls. Mitch Carr is now off to go get ready for WDBJ 7 at 11. But I figured we could talk a little bit about what's coming up later this week because it's we got plenty of sports to look forward to this week, and that's a great thing. Some of them are on the road, like the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs hockey team. They have Game 3 of their SPHL semifinal series Wednesday night over in Evansville. Now, I talked to Dan Bremner, the head coach of the Dogs, late last week after their Game 2 win, where they were able to hold on to defeat Evansville 4-3. But the one thing he did mention, and you heard it yesterday on WDBJ 7, was the fact that they won was great, but 2 straight games so far, both in games 1 and games 2, it's either tied or Roanoke has the lead going into the third quarter, and Evansville is able to get this flurry. They have a little bit of a breakdown in the third period. Now they're able to recover on Saturday, and that's a good thing. However, certainly, the Dogs are going to have to, be better in the third period. So I would expect practice this week before they head out to Evansville to certainly be a lot tougher because you got games 3 and 4 there, and you got to at least win one of those if you plan on coming back to Roanoke for Game 5 over the weekend. Of course, they win both. They're on to the finals as well. The other semifinal series between Peoria and, I can't remember off the top of my head. Josh Britz is going to get mad at me because I just remembered, but that's the other series is tied up at a game apiece. So at least nobody's going to be sitting around getting plenty of rest and healthy. Everybody's kind of on an even playing field right now. It'll also be interesting to see what the Dogs do in goal as Austin Rodebush, or Raudebush, I always mispronounce his name, sorry Austin, but was actually pulled in the third period of Saturday's win. Had a bit of an off night. He had 14 saves, but 3 of those got through. So actually, 11 saves on 14 shots. Certainly not his best effort. Gabe Rosick was able to come in and shut it down from there to get the win. So we'll see who actually gets the start in Game 3. Maybe we get a different starter in Game 3, but the offense has certainly peaked at the right time for Roanoke, and that helped them to tie the series up at 1 game apiece. Also, in addition to hockey, now if you're a baseball fan in this weather, and who isn't a baseball fan in this weather, we've got it for you here on WZBJ. The Salem Ridgejacks are coming back to town. They kick off a 6-game set tomorrow against the Fredericksburg Nationals. Now note these early start times. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. start time against Fredericksburg. The next day, it's an 11 a.m. school game for kids in the area. They'll be getting out of class and able to come to the ballpark. And then, of course, the next night on the 23rd, a normal 6:30 start time. We have the games for you live on WZBJ 24. So, hey, if you can't make it to the park, or hey, maybe on Wednesday, don't tell the boss. Just bring on, find a TV, or maybe get your YouTube TV going on your computer. I'm not telling you what to do at work, but I'm just saying it's available for you. The Ridgejacks will be have multiple games on this year. As you can see, then we shift into May. We got more games against Delmarva. The Ridgejacks have a home on WZBJ, and we hope you are there with us. All right, coming up tomorrow on the Hometown Huddle, we will have Mitch and hopefully Austin back with us on Wednesday. We'll be talking funny car driving. We had mentioned the Christiansburg Hall of Famer won the 1000th NHRA drag race. He's going to be joining us in studio here on the Huddle to talk about that experience, and we hope you will be there as well. All right, as for me, I got to go get ready for WDBJ 7 at 11. Thanks so much for watching, and we will talk to you. Well, we'll see you tonight at 11. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.